What's going on YouTube team? So welcome back to James Talks Movies, where today I'm going to be doing a ranking of all 28 Pixar movies. This is a video I know a lot of people have already done. I just never have gotten to it, but it did give me a chance to kind of watch Pixar movies that I don't really remember that much and kind of refresh my mind on it and know where to put it in the ranking. So now that I have my ranking all done, I'm so excited to share it with you guys. But before we do that, I just also want to mention when I do these ranking videos that this is only my opinion of the ranking, and everyone who's watching this video, all of you guys, are allowed to have your own opinion. Pixar is known for making movies that are very thought-provoking and has lots of themes that can rely and connect with a lot of people. But because everyone has their own stage of life that they're going through, everyone experiences and takes things differently from different messages. So I just want to let you guys know that we can all have a nice discussion in the comment section down below of what we agree with and disagree with. And I want you guys to still be respectful to everyone's opinions, because that's just what the movies that connect with them the most and the ones that don't. And it's awesome to see just everyone's thought process through these films and kind of what they connect with and don't connect with. With all that being said, let's get into all 29 Pixar movies ranked. What is my ranking? Let's see. Alright, just another quick note before we start doing this ranking. As you just saw, I have a new intro. My cousin actually makes my intros for me, because she's really good at editing and likes making intros and fun stuff like that. And she actually has a YouTube channel, Infinities. And so I'm gonna put a link in the description of this video to her channel. I do recommend you guys check her out. She doesn't do any movie related content like I do. She mainly does like I said before, edits and kind of more technology stuff based like that, with edits and storytelling and all of that kind of stuff, and gaming sometimes too. So if you guys are into any types of games, go over there, show her some love. And yeah, with all that being said, let's start with my number 29 spot, which is Lightyear. Now, Lightyear is a movie that, going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I do know that this movie was supposed to be based off, it was supposed to be the movie that Andy watched when wanting to get, that made him want to get a Buzz Lightyear action figure in the Toy Story movies, which it reveals that the toy Buzz Lightyear was based off a real guy. And going into this movie, I was kind of hoping that we would be taken back to another time period, and kind of feel like it was the actual movie that he watched, like it intended to be. But I do not think it was. I think that this movie overall just had a very generic tone to it, and not the animations are really good in here, and I just wish that the rest of the movie lived up to it. They say that this movie was a movie that Andy watched. I do not believe it because it's just the characterizations of Buzz Lightyear and all the other characters in here just don't feel like something that would have came out at that time, and the gags are just repeated over and over again till you laugh, and it's just a really forgettable one. And on top of all of that, you have lots of controversy going into this movie that was spread throughout about like representation and how the original stars of Toy Story, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, felt about this movie, and they felt badly about this movie. They didn't really enjoy it. And so, just knowing all that, and whether you disagree or agree with all of this or not, it just left me with a really bad taste in my mouth that really proves that Disney and Pixar is just not up to the level of storytelling as they were originally. Coming in at my number 28 spot, we have The Good Dinosaur. Now, with The Good Dinosaur, it's just kind of another movie that it kind of falls into the really generic category and has no real depth to the movie, and like a lot of other Pixar movies do, and what you want from a movie in general. The main plot of this movie is kind of like a road trip movie between a dinosaur and this kid Arlo to get I forgot what it was. It was like either the dinosaur back to his family or the kid. Honestly, I don't really care because that plot is really reused in a lot of other movies. Just a road trip movie to get to point A to point B. It's just a movie that could be saved by really lovable characters that are really interesting and have really interesting backstories, but I do not think they do. And so, even though that the animation is really good, like a lot of Pixar movies have, it's just not one that makes me want to revisit it. Coming in at number 27, we have Luca. Now, Luca is a movie about this sea creature who is half human, and he wants to go above the sea to visit to see the town of Italy, and but his family doesn't really agree with that idea because humans can be a little bit sketchy sometimes and do some bad things, and they don't want him to get hurt. And so one day he decides to go up to Italy without his family knowing, and he meets a lot of fun characters along the way, and has a summer that he never dreamed that he would ever have. And the reason that this movie is kind of lower down on my list is just because, just like the other two movies, I don't feel like this movie has the depth as a lot of other Pixar movies. You have our main character, who I don't remember the names, by the way, just because I feel like they don't have lots of interesting attributes about them that make me want to care for them. that much to remember their names. But our main character goes up and is hanging out with these friends that he meets, and they basically form a bond, but he's in the form of a human, and if he just tells his friends that he's a half sea monster, they might get all weirded out and scared of him. So that's what he's trying to do the whole time: hang out with his friends, have the experience of living on land and eating human food and all of this stuff, but kind of keeping that secret of his. And overall, it's just a plot that I've seen before. A character trying to hide something from another character or multiple characters that eventually leads to them figuring out that he's lying and everyone getting mad at him, and it's just a plot devices and plot that I've seen in other movies, and like the plot of the sea monster human wanting to go up to the land even though he lives in the sea. I'm like, alright, what are you, the Little Mermaid? Coming in at number 26, we have Cars 2. Now, this movie above is not terrible movies. I think that these movies have a little bit more to offer than the three that I just mentioned, but they're still not ones that connect with me until we get a little higher up on the list. With Cars 2, I feel like this movie is basically obviously a sequel to Cars, and it is kind of takes a spy approach to the franchise and kind of has this spy story to it, and it mistakenly puts Mater, one of the side characters, in the forefront of this movie. And I feel like that is something that a lot of kids are really gonna enjoy. There's still a lot of fun to have with this movie. Mater is a really fun character. Larry, the cable guy, plays Mater, and he gives the character a lot of funny lines and this big personality that kind of makes this movie fun. But that doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't scream Cars. It's not something that you would want to just randomly turn on a Tuesday night and kind of get a lot of emotional depth out of. And yeah, so overall, I guess it's fine, but it's just nowhere near as awesome as like the top 10 or 15 movies on this list. Coming in at number 25, we have Soul. And Soul is a movie about Joe Gardner, who is a music teacher for a high school, and he eventually gets promoted to perform at this jazz club. And then he dies. And then he dies and gets sent to the afterlife, which in this movie is called The Great Beyond. And yeah, that's basically the plot of the movie. And it does really go that fast. There's not really time for character development, in my opinion, in this movie. All the plot points in this movie just go really quick, and I just wish we had a little bit more time to take in all of the messages and thoughts of these characters, because the main message of this movie is about life and what really matters in life, and how to live life to the fullest. And me personally, I really like that message, but I don't really think the execution was really done here, just because I really wanted to see Joe Gardner's passion come out in this movie about jazz, and kind of why he loves what he loves. And but I don't think we really get that, except for maybe a little bit when it's a little too late, when he's in the great beyond. And yeah, there's also a side plot of him and another character in the movie, 22, who they get body swapped, where 22 gets placed in Joe Gardner's body, and Joe Gardner gets placed in a cat's body, his cat's body. And so that does create a fun dynamic, and lots of the charm from the movie, because 22 is actually a soul from the great beyond that doesn't have a person to kind of connect with. She hasn't been placed in a soul yet. Therefore, she hasn't really experienced life and doesn't really understand why Joe Gardner loves life as much. So when they do the body swap, it does create some fun, interesting moments. But again, just like I did with Luca, I was kind of thinking, what does this movie think it is? Freaky Friday? Coming in at number 24, we have A Bug's Life. And overall, A Bug's Life, it's cute, it's fun, a little forgettable again. I feel like there are a lot of fun gags that have to do with bugs and kind of their thought process, and that they're afraid of grasshoppers and lots of other like animals that are like bigger than them technically. And there's just a lot of fun to be had in this movie, but again, I feel like it's a little outdated with the animation, yes. But I can forgive that because it's one of the first Pixar movies. But also with this story, it's just kind of like I said before, ants are afraid of grasshoppers because they're bigger than them. Ha ha. Maybe that it's because we had the movie Ants, and Ants is kind of a movie that kind of had the same concept, and also Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. There are movies like this before, and I don't know, just watching this movie, I just felt like it was a little uninspired. But of course, like lots of Pixar movies it has some fun characters and stuff like that. So yeah, that is why it's at my number 24 spot. Coming in at number 23, we have Onward. And Onward is a movie just like A Bug's Life. Well, yes, I feel like there are some fun characters. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt are in this movie as two brothers who their father has passed away, and they want to spend one more day with their father, and they live in this magical world where basically a bunch of gnomes and fairies and a bunch of fantastical creatures live. And they find this spell book that they are able to bring their father back. And so that's basically the main plot of this movie. And you have just another movie that I feel like it has plot points and kind of ideas that we've seen in other movies. The fantastical creatures and gnomes and fairies and stuff is fun in this movie. And if you're feeling like you want a fantasy adventure, I feel like this will really tap your button, if that makes sense. But I just think on a normal day, compared to a lot of other Pixar movies, this is just not one that I really like and really love, like all of the other movies that are going to be above here on this list. Coming in at number 21, we have Wally. And Wally is basically a movie that is about kind of a love story between two robots who are from another planet. And this movie is basically telling the message of save the planet and what good it would do to resolve the planet and keep the planet safe and a safe place. And that message is really good. And overall, I feel like this movie is fine and pretty good too. But again, it's not one of my favorite Pixar movies. I feel like that you either really like Wally or you either think it's kind of mid and not that great. And I guess I'm kind of in that category. You have the love story between Wally and this robot that he meets, Eva, and their relationship is really cute. The visual storytelling in here with no dialogue is pretty impressive. How they interact and communicate and all that stuff is very great. Where this movie falls apart, I think, is where the human characters come in. Whenever there's a human character, it's just feeling like it's kind of trying to nail the message over your head, and kind of it's not very just not very enjoyable and not very interesting. There's not lots of character development other than the relationship that Wally and Eva has. So, yeah, so overall, I think if it was just a short film of Wally and Eva, and their story and kind of stuff like that, I feel like it would have been a little bit more better if it was just a short film. But for what we got, it's not that bad. It has some good animation, just like all the Pixar movies do. And yeah, so yeah, that is why it's at my number 21. Coming in at number 20 is Toy Story 4. And this is kind of where I have a little beef with Pixar, okay? So, you got the other three Pixar movies, other three Toy Story movies, and lots of people think that it's kind of a divided, opinionated debate whether Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending for the Toy Story movies, or that Toy Story 4 was the correct way to kind of keep the story going. And for me personally, I do not think that they sort of kept this story going. You see, with the other Toy Story movies, what I really liked about it, and what I think was at the core of the movie and the main charm of it, was you have Andy, you have this main character that all of these toys are there to make sure that he has the best childhood possible and that he's happy always. And lots of this movie, lots of people in this movie point out that this movie is about Woody and Woody's epilogue and Woody's story. But I would argue that lots of Woody's story was already completed in the other three, like Andy's. They're all in the other three movies. Woody says a lot. We gotta be there when Andy needs us, and we gotta protect Andy and all this stuff. And I just feel like that main plot point of him wanting to make Andy happy and keep Andy in check just was the main core and story of Woody. And I feel like how Toy Story 3 ended, it was just a perfect ending for Woody's story too. That kind of bookends Woody's journey of needing to make Andy happy. And yeah, so overall, Toy Story 4, not my favorite because not lots of the characters new characters were that funny to me. Lots of the side characters that we really enjoyed in the other movies. Jesse, Bullseye, Mr. Potato Head, all of them are all kind of underutilized. And yeah, I didn't really enjoy this one. Coming in at number 19, we have Ratatouille. Now, Ratatouille is a movie about this rat who cooks. I know, right? Pure cinema. This movie is, again, I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but I do feel like this movie has a lot of charm with the message of following your dreams, and even if you're different, even if you're a rat, um, you could still follow your dreams and make them happen. That message is very well handled in here. Maybe it's just not high on my list because I don't tend to rewatch this movie like I do with a lot of other Pixar movies. I think I've only seen this movie once, so maybe if I watch it again, it'll go up. I feel like lots of the side characters were a little underdeveloped. The main core of this movie was the Remy, who's the rat, and this young human chef that he meets. I forgot his name. But their relationship and kind of how they help each other. And yeah, it's just a very cute movie. Just watching it, I didn't really have a lot of thoughts to say about this movie. But for what it was, yeah, it was cute. It got the job done with its message, and yeah, love Ratatouille. At number 18, we have The Incredibles, which is another Brad Bird movie. He directed the last movie I talked about, Ratatouille, and this movie is about not rats, it's about superheroes. And this is about Mr. Incredible, who goes out and gets captured by one of his longtime enemies, Syndrome, and then his family needs to come and save him. And overall, just like with Ratatouille, I feel like that this movie ends pretty well. It ends up telling its messages and its themes pretty good by the end. But I feel like that this movie also takes a little bit to get going. There's a lot of kind of plots, side plots and stuff going into this movie. You have Mr. Incredible with his job, and you have his job and him trying to balance that with being a superhero, and on top of that, balance being a superhero and his job with his family and being a good dad. And overall, I just feel like because of that, it takes a little bit of time for the movie to get going. But once it does, I do feel like that there was a lot of good family moments in here. But I do wish that this movie had a little bit more of them, just to uh, bring a little bit more fun to the movie. And also, the superhero aspect in here is not really my favorite. With a superhero movie, at least to me, I want to see something that's different, something that hasn't been seen before. And I don't think that this movie brought that. Albeit, when this movie came out, lots of the superhero tropes that you see in movies nowadays were new. Therefore, in this movie, it was very revolutionary at that time to see these new superhero techniques on screen. But I feel like nowadays it's just kind of very generic, and the backstory of the villain in this movie is not very that interesting. And yeah, overall, it has its fun moments. But I don't feel like it's just one that I'm gonna rewatch over and over again, because it's just has plot points and elements that I've seen before. Therefore, it doesn't make it that fun for me to watch. Coming in at number 17, we have Brave. And Brave is a movie that is about this young girl named Brave. She lives in Ireland, I think. Scotland. Scotland. No, don't quote me on that. It's Scotland. And she's Scottish. And her mother, after some circumstances, ends up turning into a bear. And then she has to deal with that, and also being a young girl that's soon to be the queen of this kingdom that she is a part of. And yeah, overall, it's a very simple plot. But I do have fun with this movie. I feel like that this movie has a lot of fun characters in here. The soundtrack is really fun. And yeah, the characters just make this movie a little bit more interesting than it actually is, gives it a little bit more personality. And yeah, there's not really a lot to say about this movie. It's just one that has a simple plot, that has some fun, kind of fantastical elements to it. Where if you're in that mood where you want to watch a movie with stuff like that, you would really enjoy this one. Coming in at number 16, we have Elemental. And this plot follows the story of Ember and Wade. Wade is a part of the element of water, and Ember is part of the element of fire. And it's about this anthropomorphic creatures who are the elements migrating from one town to the other. I think they're immigrating from Fire City to Water City, and it's just a movie that is kind of there to kind of tell the story of immigration in a new way. And I feel like that this movie does a really good job of doing that. You have, obviously, like I said before, you have Ember, who is a fire element, and you have Wade, who is a water element, and you have both of them end up meeting because of the Ember's family moving to this new town where they're not used to being, and then they end up falling in love, Ember and Wade. And so you have their dynamic of they fall in love, but because they're different, their two families don't really want them to be together. So they're trying to kind of show how much they mean to each other, while also having to kind of hide their relationship from their family and kind of figure that all out. And overall, this movie is really good. A cute romance story, which is not very prevalent for Pixar. They don't really do stories like this that often. But I do feel like that they did a really good job with the rom-com esque genre in this movie. And yeah, it's a really cute movie. The animation is one of the best animated Pixar movies, I think, because just how they were able to animate the elements and how they move and talk and all that stuff is very, very impressive. And yeah, I just feel like lots of people might say that this movie is kind of generic because it doesn't do anything new with like the messaging of the story. But I feel like the way that they tell the story is pretty unique. And yeah, I feel like they could have done a little bit more to make it a little bit more unique with how it tells it. But overall, I really enjoyed Element. And with that being said, we have reached the top 15 on this ranking. And to finish off the video, I'm going to go kind of at a faster pace. Because, one, if I don't, this video is going to get very long, longer than I anticipated. And also, this is the top 15. They are all great movies, and I don't really have to explain my reasoning of why I don't like them. They're all amazing in my opinion. And we are gonna start this top 15 with Up. And Up is a cute adventure movie that has a great emotional romance story at its core, but I do feel like it does fall apart within the third act with the underdeveloped villain. Coming in at number 14, we have Finding Dory. And Finding Dory is a great movie that I think does a really good job of putting more character development on Dory and showing that even if you have a disability, just having the passion and the willing to do something. If you have that, you can do anything. It does have some elements that are kind of a retread of Finding Nemo. I feel like that doesn't make it quite as good, but it is still worth a watch. Cars 3, another movie that shows if you have a great passion for something, that is all what matters. It's not about winning. It's not about anything like that. The relationships that our main character, Lightning McQueen, meets along the way is very cute, and they have a lot of character development to them, and makes it very interesting to watch. A lot of the jokes land as well for me. Monsters University, a movie that takes a tropes, classic high school / college tropes, and puts a fun monster spin on them. And it's really fun to see the upbringing of Mike and Sully. Incredibles 2, a movie that I do feel like is better than the original, which might be one of my first hot takes of the video. Maybe also putting Wall-E down lower on the list, but I just feel like that this movie adds a lot more of what worked in the original, having the family more at the center of it and exploring their powers and how they all interact with each other, and them learning to kind of use all of their strengths to the fullest. The villain in this movie also, I feel like, is more interesting. Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. is a great movie. Mike and Sully are one of the most iconic duos in Pixar history, and it just does a lot of fun, creative things with the monster world and with the idea that screams can power light and be the electricity for this world. Lots of fun characters, a really fun time. Turning Red. Turning Red is a movie that I feel like while I do think it isn't as emotionally thought-provoking as lots of other Disney movies, it does a really good job of bringing the idea of puberty and just how that all comes about to to teenagers and young children. Just a metaphor of how they do it through a red panda. In here is really fun, very good. There are some plot elements that we've seen in other Pixar movies, but and movies in general, but I do feel like this is a really good one. It also has a great sense of humor as well. Coco. Coco is a movie that I feel like is just a very creative movie that doesn't that makes it unique. Has its unique style. This movie is about Miguel, and Miguel gets transported to the land of the dead, or whatever it's called, where all the people who have passed away go. It's kind of another interpretation of the afterlife, and it just does a lot of fun, creative ideas with that. And the emotional core of this one comes from not letting your family go. They're always gonna be there with you if you hold them dear to your heart. There's a song in it called "Remember Me" that gets me crying every single time. Cars. This is another movie that you either love it or you hate it. But I do feel like this movie is really fun. That shows the whole landscape of the world of this movie very, very well. Our main character, Lightning McQueen, makes some really fun characters along the way, including Mater, and I feel like Mater and Lightning McQueen is also one of the most iconic duos in Pixar history. And yeah, just a great movie that has a nice message of if you bring a whole community together, you can create something awesome. Toy Story, another classic Disney Pixar movie. This was, as a lot of you may know, one of the first Disney movies, Pixar Disney, and yeah, it just does a really good job of setting up the idea of what if your toys can talk. And this first movie is kind of the one that kind of sets that up and plays with that idea the most. And yeah, Sid is also a really good villain. In here, it starts its creative Toy Story journey very well. But just above Toy Story, we have Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 just, I feel like, just does a really good job of bringing all of our toys together, and kind of you get to see more of their fun dynamic than the first one and how they all interact. And also, it's a good movie that kind of plays with the idea of what makes a toy special and why would you want to play with one in the first place. Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 is the newest Pixar movie to come out of the studio, and basically is a sequel to Inside Out, and it is a movie that plays a lot with puberty aspects, just like Turning Red. But I do feel like it's better than Turning Red because I feel like Turning Red kind of plays a little bit more with the target audience of teenage girls. But this movie is basically talking about not just the female aspects of puberty, but just visualizes the emotions that you feel with it, and I feel like it visualizes it in a very good way. It gets very deep, but it does such a good job of explaining it for kids with making clever jokes about it that aren't dumb, they're entertaining for the whole family. And yeah, I just love the newest Pixar movie, Inside Out 2. But coming in just above it, we have Inside Out. And Inside Out is a movie that I feel like has a little bit more creativeness to it than a sequel that makes it a little bit more enjoyable. It plays a lot with dreams and kind of imagination and all of that stuff, and it brings you to different worlds, and is not as mature as the first one, though this one also gets you crying pretty hard. Toy Story 3, a fun movie that shows that growing up is not that bad and can bring you to a new adventure that you never expected that you would have. There is a fun prison break aspect in this movie as well that is really fun, that you get to follow these toy characters with. And coming in at number 1, we have Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is the best Pixar movie in my opinion. It has the best side characters. It has the best emotional core with it, with Marlin needing to find Nemo after getting captured, and the reasoning behind why he cares for Nemo so much is gut-wrenching and puts a little bit more character development for Marlin, and it just brings you into the world of Under the Sea a lot very well. And yeah, it's just one that if I want to laugh, if I want to see some creative concepts, what these fish and animals, what would they be thinking? I feel like they do a really good job of explaining that and putting up interesting character arcs through them all. And one thing I forgot to mention with Finding Dory is Dory, like I said, is a great character, but Ellen DeGeneres, who voices Dory, just makes her not only very, very funny, but adds the emotional core in it with her voice. And yeah, it's just one of the movies that I just really, really love. But with all that being said, what are you guys' top 29 Pixar movies? Leave your ranking in the comment section down below. I would be very interested to see your ranking. Also, in the comments, if you have any suggestions for movies that you want me to check out, let me know them in the comments, and then maybe I can check them out and tell you my opinion if a movie is worth watching or not. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sticking to the end if you watched the whole way through. I know it's a very long one, but I hope I was able to keep your attention and entertain you for as long as this video is. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification after you subscribe so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.